You want to make sure there's nothing going on that you did not approve on your credit report. Hi friends, welcome to Moms and Money, where we talk about managing money, making money, and saving money for the women in the household. So as most of you guys know, we've been talking about credit quite a bit here on my channel, how to increase your credit score, how to pay off accounts and collections properly, some of the first steps that you need to do, all of that. And all of those videos will be linked in the description box, or I created a playlist of everything about credit, and you can tap this eye right here to watch it. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to read your credit report, because I mentioned it in a previous video, and many of you guys in the comments said you'd like to see a video of me saying how to really read your credit report. Now, let me just say this. It's very important to get your credit pulled, even if you have no desire to utilize your credit, or if you're not in the home buying process or anything like that. I definitely don't suggest to just go into debt because you have a good credit score. Definitely not that. But it's important to get your credit pulled because, first of all, you want to make sure everything on your credit report are because of you. It's requested from you, and it's something that you decided to do, because fraud is a real thing. And I know Dave Ramsey always says, don't care about your credit score, but it's really important to care about your credit report because, girl, listen, identity theft is real, and that's something that we definitely want to monitor to make sure, like I said, all of the transactions on your credit report stem from you. All right, let's talk about where you can actually get a free access of your credit report, where you can have your credit report pulled for free, because if not, you will have to pay for it. If you use annualcreditreport.com, you can pull your credit from the 3 bureaus once a year. And honestly, the best thing that you can do is pull from one bureau at a time every 4 months. So that way it's like a whole year, and it's like a whole year of monitoring of your credit report. So the first, maybe in March, you can pull from Experian, and then July you can pull from TransUnion, and then in November you can pull from Equifax, and you can compare them to make sure there's no changes and it's all free and it's not going to harm your credit score by doing so. That's pretty much the best thing to do. Or you could do something like I personally do, and I have a total freeze on my credit, total lockdown freeze on my credit. I actually used Clark Howard's recommendations, who is a consumer advocate here in the Atlanta area. He's pretty well known in Georgia. He comes on the news all about consumer awareness and consumer rights and consumer protection and all of that. So he has a very detailed blog post about how to freeze your credit. I will leave a link in the description box, but that's the best thing to do, especially if you're not planning on utilizing your credit score, you're not planning on, taking out any loans or anything like that. The best thing you can do is put that strong freeze on it, but then also, pull it every 4 months just in case. Listen, these scammers are getting better and better, especially with technology getting better and better. So you want to make sure that your identity is protected. So that's pretty much where you can get your free credit report. And like I mentioned, there are 3 credit bureaus that you get your credit report and your credit score from. That's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Now, your credit score may be different based on each credit bureau, just slight variations, maybe 1 or 2 points, maybe 5 points at the most, 10 at the most, maybe, but it's all going to be around the same range. So if you have excellent credit, all 3 are going to be excellent, unless you're teetering on the line. And if you have good, all 3 are going to be good. But unfortunately, if you have bad, all 3 are typically going to be bad. So those are the 3 credit bureaus that collect this information and that keep your credit report. Now, when you pull your credit report, there are certain sections on it. So at the top, typically, and every bureau, it's a little bit different, but they all have basically the same information. It's just going to be maybe ordered a little bit different. It may be called something a little bit different, but they're all the same, and it should all be the same. And if it's not, then that's a problem, and we'll discuss that in a later video. But at the top, typically, you're going to have your name, any previous names. If you have a maiden name or anything like that, all your names are going to be up there. All your previous addresses are going to be up there. Previous phone numbers, employer, previous employers, all of that information is going to be on there. Your social security number, your full name, everything is going to be on there. That's why your credit report is it's almost like sacred, because it is everything about you on this report. It's a little bit scary too, if you think about it. All of that information that personal information is going to be on there. Something to look out for in the personal information section is addresses. Now, if it's an address on there that you've never lived at, a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They just say, oh, it's just previous addresses, and they go straight to the accounts that are listed. But you want to look to see and make sure all the addresses that are listed on there were previous addresses that you lived at, previous places that you've worked at. And it's okay if they don't have like employer phone number or something, if the phone number is different or something like that. And sometimes even your name may be still different. So some places, when they report your information with your name, maybe they mistyped a name, or maybe you have a name that's not common, or that's spelled very differently. And sometimes a letter may be misplaced or taken out of context, and that's normal. That's okay, as long as the addresses are correct, you actually worked at the places that are listed there, and your name is correct, even if the spelling is off a little bit. But you want to make sure that all of that information is valid. Okay, so the next section we're going to talk about are adverse accounts, or accounts that have been defaulted on, accounts where there's late payments on them, all of that kind of information, negative information, bankruptcies, all that stuff is going to be here. And what it's going to say is it's going to name the creditor. It's going to say when you opened it. It's going to say how many days past due you are. It's going to say have your payment history. It's going to say the type of account it is, whether it's a student loan, a credit card, all of that, a mortgage, anything like that. That information is going to be on there. It's one big account section. You have your accounts that are defaulted on, then you have your accounts that have good standing. So it'll say the creditor, it'll say that you've never been late. It's open. You've never been late. Those are the kind of accounts you want on there. You've never been late. You've never been defaulted on. When you opened it, what the credit balance is. And another thing to mention is your balance may not be as close to if you looked up your account online, because it just depends on when the creditor reported the information to the credit bureau. Maybe you have a credit card with a $3,000 balance with a $10,000 credit limit, and at the time that the credit card company sent it to the credit bureau, you still had that balance, even though you may have paid it off within a couple of days. But at the time that the credit card company sent it to the bureau, it still had the balance. That's what it's going to show. But then the next month, it'll show whatever the balance is. So just be mindful of that, because a lot of times these credit card companies, when they send it to the credit bureau, it is not when your payment is due. A lot of times it's different. So just be mindful of that. But you definitely don't want to have anything on here that you did not open. I mean, that's the principle, and the reason why you want to pool it so much is you want to make sure that there is nothing on here that you did not open, especially if something that is defaulted on that you had no knowledge of. A lot of people just ignore their credit report, because honestly, your credit score is available at so many places now. It's available through, if you have a credit card, typically they'll show you your credit score right there. You can get it through mint.com, Credit Karma, Credit Sesame. I mean, all these different places that you can quickly see your credit score. And that's what so many people are so focused on. But it's really important to focus on your credit report as well, to verify and make sure that there's nothing going on that you did not approve. So it's important to track and monitor that as well. Even though if you have access to your credit score like that, and you can see it monthly pretty much, because I know a lot of the credit card companies, they have your credit score there because they want to offer you more and more money as your credit score grows. And so if you see a huge dip, then you know automatically something's going on. But again, you want to just be on top of that, because the quicker you can be on top of that, the easier it is for you to dispute these things. You want to have all your records, all your files organized in one place in case anything like this happens, knock on wood. So you definitely want to make sure that there's nothing on here that you did not approve. Okay, so we've talked about personal information. We talked about the accounts that are on there, whether they're defaulted on or in good standing balance. All types of accounts are going to be on there, like I said, from student loans, credit cards, medical, mortgage, car loans, all of that's going to be on there. and there's going to be a section for good standing accounts and good standing, and then accounts that have been defaulted on. Now, the last section is inquiries. Typically, if a creditor has had a hard inquiry on your credit report, then that negatively affects your credit score, and typically it's because you're about to borrow a large amount of money. Now, hard inquiries usually result from when you want to get a mortgage, if you want to open a new credit card, if you want to get a line of credit, if you want to get a car note. All those things are considered hard inquiries. So you want to keep those at a minimum. And so all the hard inquiries will be listed there. It'll say the creditor, the address, the phone number. It won't necessarily have the reason why the hard inquiries on there, but you can usually tell if it's a mortgage, it's usually a bank. You can tell if it's a credit card. These should all be things, again, that you requested. That's another place that you really want to keep an eye on, is that you requested these hard inquiries, and that's okay. But if you did not request these hard inquiries, again, that's something to go through to try to dispute. Now, soft inquiries is another type of inquiries. Those necessarily don't affect your credit. Those are the kind of inquiries that pre-approval loans come through, or pre-approval credit cards, or if your employer checks your credit, this would be considered a soft inquiry, and those do not ding your credit score. Okay. Now, I'm not sure about the difference of how it looks from a soft inquiry from a hard inquiry. I don't know how much access someone with a soft inquiry gets on your credit report, but it's definitely not as much as a company who wanted to do a hard inquiry. Again, you have to approve any type of inquiry on your credit report. So again, if you have any discrepancies, it's important to dispute, and we'll do a whole other video. Leave a comment down below if that's something you're interested in. We'll do a whole other video on disputing credit card charges. But now that we talked everything through, let's take a look to see what it actually looks like, right? So we're gonna go to my phone. This is a sample credit report from Experian. And as you can see on the top here, it has the online personal information from this person. You see it number 1. It'll give you a report number to contact Experian online or by phone, how you contact them, who prepared your Experian report. And this is just for Experian. Now, TransUnion and Equifax may be different. It has potentially negative information on the top. See, I told you the order, could be different from each creditor. It has negative information. It says any claims on here. So it says potential negative items that creditors may view less favorable. It includes the creditor's name and address, your account number, shortened for security, account status type, and terms of account, and any other information reported to Experian by the creditor. So any information reported by the creditor, this item was verified and updated in April 2012, when it was opened, the date it was resolved. Even though it looks like this one was resolved, it's still listed on there as a negative report. That's why I explained in the other video that even if you pay your defaulted accounts in full, it's still going to be listed there unless you negotiate that it gets removed from your credit report. So it has your credit items here. It indicates the status of the account. See, this account is negative as well because it says it's past due for 60 days. Okay, so it has all the negative stuff first, and how long it's been 60 days past due, and then 30 days past due, the credit limit, all of that stuff, the name of the bank. Then, and this has another negative one, then it has a section for accounts in good standing, like we talked about. These accounts are good. You see the status is open. It's never been late. The date it was last reported, the credit limit, the recent balance, as of and the particular date there. This is why you will see fluctuations in your credit score depending on your the balance on any of your accounts, especially with credit cards, the balance on the credit cards at the time of reporting. And then these are your inquiries. So they call them requests for credit history. You could see it's a bank here, mostly banks for hard inquiries, whether it be for credit cards or for mortgage. Your inquiries here, these are all listed as hard inquiries. Again, these kind of ding your credit report. You could see here on the side to the right, it has the difference between a hard inquiry and a soft inquiry. All of these should be approved by you. Again, if there's something that you did not approve, then you need to contact the credit bureau. Requests only viewed by you. So we report these requests only to you as a record of activities. We do not provide this information to other creditors who evaluate your credit worthiness. So that is requests viewed by you. And then at the bottom, it has your personal information. Everything that I discussed earlier in the video, any previous addresses, your spouse, your employer, phone numbers, all of that personal information is down here. So that is pretty much a sample credit report. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. Leave a comment down below and let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see about credit or anything about personal finance that interests you. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, you can tap my picture on the screen, and you can also check out my previous video right next to it and all of my social media platforms all listed down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.